Hello, everybody. David here. A big apology for the large gap in my posting schedule. My chronic illnesses sadly do not like to follow rules or deadlines. Maybe, maybe they're part fecal. Um, in the process of trying to get it well enough to do anything, I've been looking at different things I could do, different projects. There's quite a lot of projects, but it's been hard to pick because, for example, I need to do Gore Prison as a project, but I've designed. I've got the inside of the building, but not the outside of the building, um, and that needs extra kind of creative juices for the brain that I just don't have right now. Um, Another project that I could be doing is there's a bunch of rebel buildings, but they've all got the same problem. I know what the insides look like, so I could do the insides, but fitting the outsides around them and designing a house or a building or whatever that fits around the insides, it just takes so much brain energy, and I'm not well. My entire left arm is trying to drop out of every single socket. And winter always triggers fibro and all sorts of stuff. So I just don't have the brains. So when I realized I don't have the brains to do the actual projects that need to be done, I thought, right, okay, I'll try and pick something less brain intensive, at least so that like the full design creative juices. Let's find something that I could put in the city that the city doesn't have yet. Now this is the current map. I have to twitch to show the UCL campus, and I've been planning. There's a big river that goes through the city, um, and down here is where the coastline is going to be. And there's a big outside mall fairgroundy thingy, so that'll be there. It's okay. So each of these squares, the photo frames, picture frames, are with a map on them is 120 blocks by 120 blocks. So it's not small. So I've been planning out things, and the city's ginormous. It's a big city. This is just basically the middle of it, because this side of it is where most of the rebels live, and this side of it are where most of the rich people live. Although it's sort of skewed. Most north and east are rich, and south and west are poor, or rebels controlled spaces. This is going to be the airport. It's a big airport, but airports, I went and did some research, and airports are surprisingly big. There are airports in the US that are like 5 kilometers. Like the runways are this long. The buildings are their own little cities. And so I did a lot of research to figure out. I just was looking for the different things that the city needs that it doesn't have yet. Obviously, it needs quite a lot of houses. These areas there, and on the other side of Memorial Gardens, these are all sort of living spaces. Above, north of the Memorial Park, is suburbs, basically. Well, not suburbs, but living spaces, living areas. I haven't got schools, but I haven't found a school that doesn't make me want to twitch, because my school life was not fun. So I was Googling, and I found this just by random, which actually happens quite a lot. I found this really beautiful hospital. It's ginormous, but it's really beautiful, and it's in chunks, so there's like a building and they're connected to another building, so I don't have to do the whole thing at once. It's called the Royal Children's Hospital of Melbourne. It's been done by designed by architects and stuff, and it's got like there's one section of it where this potentially austere hospital space has this big open area in the middle of the building. So there's like a garden and playground, big area. It's almost, the Google images looked almost like a mall space, like 4 stories or 5 stories of mall space, like the big area and sunlight and all that kind of stuff. It's so pretty. And I did a general guesstimate of how big it is, and I don't know if you can see it. I've actually outlined it. It looks to be about that big. It's about 500 meters by 400 meters, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4 maps. Yeah, 4 maps square thereabouts. I made the square. The I don't know if you can see the lines I put in to box around it. I made it big rather than small, if you know what I mean. I might actually move the box from here. So I'll have to start here. From there, starting there to starting here. So it'll go further north, and I'll have to clear out this area as well and figure out how to get this. This river goes all the way down, and then through here somewhere it'll go straight down. So we'll need, maybe the river can go around the hospital, I'm not sure. But if you can get any idea of scale, this is what the campus looks like. So it's about half the size, although there's much less detail and much more sort of areas of grass and park and playground and stuff, and parking lots and all that kind of stuff. So it's going to be a big build. It's going to be multiple episodes, and I'm kind of hoping it'll pass the time for me so I can make content and do designy work or building work. When it's a replica, there's less sort of brain spoons needed to get my brain participating. So I'm hoping it's enough of a big project, as long as I can figure it out, to get me through to spring. Because it may be summer in the rest of the world, but here in New Zealand it's winter, or at the beginning of winter, and my body's packing up and going, nah, you're going to be 110 years old for a little while. So this should keep me busy and be interesting, because there's all sorts of different scaled issues, and some of the buildings are like have different heights for each level, and one of the main buildings will have to be on the diagonal, which if you watched me doing the UCL you'll know, particularly this cruciform, you'll know that I quite dislike, and dislike is a very big understatement. I quite dislike things on the diagonal, but I have this weird habit where if I find something that I don't like, but it isn't hard, it's just I get annoyed with it, I keep working at it, and eventually it will be less of a nightmare. Like Intro to Logic at university, I hated that paper, but I got an A+ on that because I wouldn't let it defeat me. So I will not let the ridiculously beautiful Children's Hospital defeat me. We'll see what happens and how long it takes. But the map is getting big. Like, it's going to be this whole wall eventually one day, and I can't wait to get down to do the mall, outside mall, fairgrounds. I don't know what you call them. It's going to be really fun. But for now, I go this way. Right, that's a bit of you. Okay, so wish me luck and cue the music. Welcome back. This build, I knew it was big, but I didn't really have a very good conception of how big. at least in a context of playing the game. It is just huge, like ginormous. I had originally intended to do the first episode of just this facing and the two buildings at the front, and then I got a little carried away because I was trying to fix this area here around the corner, and then I had I don't know what to call it. My brain just suddenly forgets things. And I forgot that was where I was supposed to end it, and I just kept going. So I've done the equivalent of 2 episodes worth of work for 1 episode, but it's okay. The original building, which is in Melbourne, as I probably should have said earlier in the introduction, they have these like sunshades, maybe? And the sunshades come out of the building at a diagonal angle, which worked fine on the diagonal glass, but the moment you do it on the flat glass, there isn't a way of putting a thing that sticks out diagonally from a surface. So I had to use these banners, which I think look really good. The only problem is the render distance is kind of amusing. You go far away from it and they stop rendering. But that's a perennial problem with Minecraft banners. There's bound to be a setting that I don't know about that will fix it. But originally, in the original, these I don't know, sunshades. I presume the sunshades were sort of pastel colours, like light blue and pink. And you probably would have noticed in the montage that I started with pink in this corner and then went, nah, screw this, I'm doing a rainbow. That was, the reasoning for that was equal parts TSU was very rainbow friendly and equal parts, screw it, it's June. I'm going to do something for June, even though I can't go to Pride. So everything's rainbow with me, because why not? But it took a long time to get just this bit done. And then I futz around with this bit, because it's there's actually like a fancy cafe or something, an eatery here, in this bit. So, like, put a door there. And there's an eatery through there. So there's this sort of like garden courtyard with trees and tables and umbrellas and stuff. And it took a while to figure out the height of everything. Because everything that I'm doing in this build is based off of, like, this level here is road level. It's the level of the road. So everything comes up from the road level. Technically from road to this driveway down into underground parking lots is actually a bit higher, but I just flattened it because the height wasn't necessary at that place. But here it's a bit finicky. And as I said before, I just sort of was trying to get this to work, and then I brain farted and kept going. And this building was, well, I don't know how to say it without swearing. It was very difficult and frustrating, and I couldn't get it right. And it's still not quite right. It drives me... every time I look at it, it's like... I can have a build with mistakes in it. It's okay. Because, like, from a distance, it looks perfectly fine. It looks exactly like what it's supposed to look like. If you go up and look at the Royal Children's Hospital of Melbourne, from above, that's kind of what those buildings look like. It's enough to be recognisable. But these 2 walls here, so this wall and that wall, are supposed to be the same length. And it's going to bug me forever. But I did so many versions when I did the frame, and they would not meet in the middle. It wouldn't. Not without, like, making another wing, like a more sticky outy bit, and I just I was just like, nope, I will let it be not perfect. Now, you know that joke, meme, I guess, it's almost a meme, every generation does it. When you're in class at school, and your teacher gets all upset with you and says, oh, you ought to do this thing, like trigonometry or geography or history or something. Probably less so with history. And, you know, as a teenager, you say, when in my adult world would I use this thing? Well, I've maybe it's just because I was good at math, but I had to use trigonometry to solve a really big problem. Because you see, the cruciform was a diagonal, but it was all diagonal. The whole build was diagonal. This build is half straight lines and half diagonal lines, which means the scale, it doesn't work. I'll try and give you a clearer thing. So in Minecraft, as you should know by now, a block is 1 meter high, 1 meter wide, and 1 meter deep. It's a cube. And if you want to make a straight line 3 meters long, you just put three blocks. And reasoning, I mean, like my instinct, my non-thinking reasoning thinks that this is 3 meters as well. So this line here would be 3 meters because it's 3 blocks. But it's not. Because you see, a diagonal isn't... A diagonal is actually the line from point to point. And if I could draw it, it would be easier. But you go from there to there, and that cuts that top surface into 2 triangles. And when you're in trigonometry, you learn that this line is the hypotenuse, and the hypotenuse is the side of the triangle that's the longest. So the sides are the same, but this bit is longer. And I had to go and look it up because it's been, oh my gosh, 25, oh wow, it's 2 years off of 30 years. Gosh, I feel old. But it's been a really long time since I've been in trigonometry class, so I had to look it up. And long story short, 3 meters in the diagonal is actually just under 2 blocks. So I had to convert all of the measurements for all of my diagonal sides into the scale. So every 2 blocks is actually 3 meters, not 2 meters. And that is actually why I didn't include the montage of creating this frame, because this is basically the outline of the building where things are going to go. And I actually did record the montage, but when I got to this bit, I deleted and redid and deleted and redid, and because this end here where the diagonal starts and this end here where the diagonal starts refused to meet. No matter how many times I counted, no matter how many times I measured, no matter how many times I thought I had the scale right, it just would not meet. Would not work. So the montage is like all the way through straight stuff, and then get to the diagonal and it's delete and redo for like 5 times for each area. So I didn't do that. It's also quite long. So I have learned, again, actually it's not the first time, that if you know what you're doing, if you're doing certain things, you can actually use trigonometry in adult life. And I know anyone who hates trigonometry would not like to hear this, but it's true. Although probably a younger person would have found a different solution other than being a geek and doing the math for it. But I am always a nerd. I really enjoyed doing the face of this particular part with the banners, with the rainbow, because rainbows rock. This thing here I did not enjoy. It was fiddly, it took ages, and all of this took me watching in the background an entire season of Stargate Atlantis. So that's a lot of hours. but I'm pretty happy with the finished product. It's obviously not done, but it's going to be several episodes before it's all done. There are some problems because a lot of the resources I have are incomplete. So, like in this courtyard area, there's this building here along this line. I have no idea what's under here. Can't see it. There's no pictures. Nothing. I'm going to have to just cross my fingers and hope it looks good. This area, as far as I can tell, is like shops and a cafe and stuff, because there's like trees and tents and pathways and neat little areas to sit, and so it looks sort of like an area, like a park. So I'm gonna put sort of shops and or cafes in here. There is a cafe here, absolutely, definitely, because it's marked on Google Maps. But I don't know the details. I don't know the colour scheme or anything. The other problem, and there's quite a lot actually like that, this under here, I can't see what's under here. I can guess. And these bits, like there's ramps into some kind of above ground parking area, I don't know. And then there's a line of building behind this bit, so this far back. But I can't actually see any details. I can't see if this is 2 stories, which it would be at this scale. There's a lot of details I can't actually find what they are, so I'm going to have to make it up as I go along. But the second problem is there's a heck of a lot of landscaping, like a lot, and I'm not very good at landscaping. I don't like it. I try, and I sometimes pull it off, but most of the time I sit there and I swear. So this is a lot of landscaping to do. So this side, the front of the buildings are at sort of street level, road level, and then it slowly rises up to this level, and then it rises again, and around the back it's even higher. It's actually 7 blocks off the road level. I've only marked it the grass level around this building and then ended here because I knew if I continued I wouldn't stop until the whole thing was done, and then this episode would never get out. So there's a lot of issues, and there's bits I can't see, and there isn't enough pictures. And I've got floor plans, but only like the top level and like level 3 somewhere in the middle. I don't have any ground floor plans that I can find. And there's a lot I can't see. Like I have no idea what's in these sorts of gaps or here. So there's going to be a lot of fudging. But that's okay, because it's not... The purpose of this build is not to make a perfect replica. The purpose is to make a hospital for my city. And I wanted it to be a happy, joyous thing, instead of the normal, boring, austere, depressing version that most hospitals are. At least most hospitals that I'm around. But now, I've been talking for 15 minutes. I shall see you next time. Aranitasa.